it's Amy, and today in my kitchen, I'm making pecan pie brownies. And if you haven't had these, they're such a delicious dessert mashup. I've taken my thick and fudgy brownies and I've topped them with that syrupy sweet pecan pie topping. So let's get started. First off, you're gonna make the brownies. To start, you're gonna need 1 cup of melted butter, and you can either cook this in a saucepan on your stovetop or just melt the butter, and it's all going to be mixed up in one bowl. So to this, we're going to add 1/2 cup of sweetened, semi-sweetened chocolate chips and 2 cups of sugar. And now we're going to mix this just until it's all smooth. You may have a few chunks of chocolate chips. That's okay. It'll just make chocolate chip pecan pie brownies. Growing up, I was never a pecan pie person, but I loved chocolate. And then I had my first taste of a chocolate pecan pie, and I realized I think that's what I love. To this, we're going to add 4 eggs, and I do 1 or 2 at a time to get those really mixed in there. You're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and you could measure it or just go with what your heart tells you is a teaspoon, and that looks good to me. Now you're going to mix all this up. We're going to add our dry ingredients. So you need 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 cup of flour, and you want 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And you're going to use some big strokes to get this mixed. You don't want to over mix brownies, so you want it just until the dry ingredients have been added to the wet ingredients. And that's true if you're making a boxed mix or homemade. You never want to over mix your brownies. All right, you can see how it's starting to come together into one mixture. Just get the last of those dry ingredients blended in there. Okay, you need a 9-inch square baking dish. Line it with parchment paper. I used binder clips to hold my parchment paper in place, and I'll take those out before I bake the brownies. So you're going to put all of your brownie batter into your dish. Spread that out. Okay, you're going to put this in a 350-degree oven, and we're going to bake it only partially. So we're going to bake this for about 20 minutes. And while that's baking, we're going to make the pecan pie topping, put it all together, return it to the oven, and can't wait to show you guys. I'll be right back. All right, while our brownies are partially baking, we're going to make the pecan pie topping. To do this, you'll need 3 tablespoons of light corn syrup, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. You'll want 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. You can use light brown sugar, but I love that rich molasses flavor that it adds to pecan pie, so we're going to use that in here as well. And then you'll want 1 egg and, of course, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're going to whisk this together. That looks fantastic. You want to make sure you get any lumps of brown sugar really blended into that. And to this, we're going to add in our 2 cups of pecan halves. You can toast them before using them, which really brings out that nutty flavor, or you can just add them in because they're already nutty. All right, now this is going to sit and wait for the brownies to finish, and then we'll put it all together. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, I'm back. I have some partially cooked brownies here. And we're going to add in over the top our pecan pie filling. So we're going to do that pretty gently. And it's okay if it sinks into the brownies a little bit. Just trying to spread out the pecans. And like I said, this is going to go back in the oven for another 25-30 minutes till it's fully baked. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to put this back in the oven, and I'll return when it's all done and we can take a bite together. All right, guys, the pecan pie brownies are done. I've let them cool completely, and now we're going to slice them and serve them. I love how easy it is to just lift your parchment paper out of the pan, barely even have to clean that pan now. And they're super sticky, so that's why the parchment paper comes in handy with these. Make sure you use a really sharp knife to cut through those pecans. Oh my goodness, look how fudgy that is. Enjoy.